Morning, everybody. We're just going live on YouTube. Okay, we're on. All right. Good morning, everybody. And welcome again to another episode of It Takes a Village. This is our 8th session of the Guam Homeless Coalition's information webinar series, where we highlight the different members who are part of the GHC and all the great work that they do for our island community. Today, we have with us a team of presenters from the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. The Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center is a state mental health authority and Guam's only publicly funded mental health and substance use treatment center mandated by law to provide comprehensive inpatient, community-based outpatient mental health services, crisis services, residential, and substance use treatment services for individuals ages 5 years and up. Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center provides culturally respectful, quality behavioral health services that support and strengthen the well-being of the person served, their families, and the community in a safe environment, and continually strives to improve and enhance services that provide culturally relevant and inclusive holistic mental health care to the island community. Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center is accredited by the Commission on Accreditation of Rehabilitation Facilities International. Sylvie, our Guam Behavioral Health team is going to start their introduction and their presentation soon. If you have any questions or comments, please use our Q&A section in the Zoom, or if you're watching live, then in the comments on YouTube. So thank you, Jesse and team, Guam Behavioral Health. You have the floor.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So today we have a bunch of our programs here at Guam Behavioral. In fact, this is just a fraction of the programs and the services that we provide. So we may need to do a part 2 of this webinar series. But we're going to go ahead and start today's presentation off with beginning with our children's services. And I'll just go ahead and share my screen.
Great, thanks, Jesse. Hafaday and good morning, everyone. Happy Halloween. My name is James Cooper-Nurse, and I'm the administrator for Guam Behavioral Health's Child and Adolescent Services Division. Just to provide you an example of some of the services that we provide, here on the screen, you'll see we provide community-based wraparound, case management, and care coordination supports. We also provide individual and family therapy and counseling, including play-based therapy. And then we've been starting to renew our offerings around more psychoeducational, skill building, and therapeutic groups. Just as an example, we had a parent and youth support group that happened just last Friday. Halloween themed, of course, where families got together and were able to share and talk about the monsters within. So it's just a really creative opportunity to get parents and their kids together in the vein of mental health. If you can go to the next slide, please. So just to explain a little bit more about wraparound, since that was one of the first services I mentioned. So as you can see here in wraparound, a facilitator coordinates the work of system partners. So our staff here at the Child and Adolescent Services Division are trained in being case managers and care coordinators, especially when it comes to youth and families who are involved with multiple different systems. So this infographic here is really just a way to kind of demonstrate what that looks like. With wraparound services, we are looking at providing services to those families that are at the highest need, at the most intensive need. And typically, we identify those families by virtue of who who of course has a diagnosable mental condition, as well as who of these families are involved in multiple systems. So what our staff will do is they'll actually get together with the youth and the family, placing them at the center, help identify what are their needs, what supports do they need to improve their lives. And then they start to identify together what are the different systems involved in the family's life. So it could be the child might be involved in education with an individualized education plan. They might be involved in the child welfare system, healthcare, juvenile justice. They may be involved with law enforcement and so on. Our staff's role in this case is really to help the family bring everyone together on the same table and come up with a single plan across the board that, that supports the youth and family with their needs. So you can go on to the next slide, Jesse. And you can go ahead and pop up all the things. Yeah. Thank you. But of course, we recognize, I think there's one more. Of course, we recognize that not everyone needs this high intensive level of service. So we actually have a number of offerings depending on the needs of the family. So if the youth and the family don't necessarily need as high intensive a service, we do provide more case management. We offer coordination with our medical providers if there's a need for medication, coordination with our psychologists if there's a need for further psychological evaluation and assessment. And then the more needs that we identify, the more needs of support that we identify with the family, the higher up we go. So there might be a need for perhaps that child needs more individualized or family counseling services where they need to talk about the things that affect them emotionally and so forth. We also have family partner services, which we can tie into services where our family partners sort of journey along with families to help navigate systems that they wouldn't otherwise know to navigate. So our family partners will go out and help families complete applications for things, or our family partners understand how school systems work when it comes to child study teams, so they can help families navigate those systems as well. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we also offer wraparound services. This is our highest level of care. Really, wraparound for us is a means to help families retain their living situation in their homes, out in the community, so that there won't be a break in either the family or in their housing situation. So this is an opportunity, again, bringing all the system partners to the table to really come together and collaborate on a shared plan for the family. And then at our highest levels, these are our residential settings, residential treatment settings. So Serenity and Laddie Treatment Center. These are our highest levels of care where we actually have the child go to a residential treatment facility where 24/7 intervention services are being provided. And then, of course, our children's inpatient unit, which is where there are more, if a child has more acute needs, especially when they're exhibiting signs of wanting to hurt themselves or hurt someone else, then we have medical staff on hand at our inpatient unit that has the ability to medically stabilize them. I just want to point out for the residential as well as the inpatient unit settings, these are not placement settings. These are treatment settings, and the distinction being that these are settings where, again, if there is an identified need that a person needs 24/7 round the clock mental health professional intervention services, these are the settings for those individuals. Otherwise, we find that we can absolutely serve children and their families in outpatient settings, which includes wraparound, doing more counseling and care coordination and so forth. So really, that's the Child and Adolescent Services Division in a nutshell. We're always seeking to improve and look to include new services. So please feel free to reach out if anyone has a question about anything we do or anything that we could be doing. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper Nurse. Next up, we have, go ahead. Okay. Next up, we have Project Link. Project Link, which is LINC, it stands for Linking Individuals and Nurturing Communities. It is a program under the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, and it is funded by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, which is SAMHSA, which is the branch, mental health services branch of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Our mission at Project Link is to decrease the number of youth with mental health and substance use conditions that are experiencing homelessness by evaluating their needs using evidence-based assessment tools. This project strives to provide mental health and substance abuse services and links them to local housing resources and other related recovery support services. The eligibility criteria of Project Link are for youth ages 5 to 18. In addition to that, the youth must have a diagnosable behavioral health condition, which is also commonly known as a serious emotional disturbance, a co-occurring disorder, which is an SED along with a substance use disorder. In addition to that, the youth and their families are experiencing homelessness. Some of the services that we provide include orientation, intake assessments, care coordination, wraparound services, individual or group counseling, crisis stabilization, and on top of that, like Dr. Cooper Nurse said, Project Link, Project Talika, and IFA Magunta, which is the Child and Adolescent Services Division, collaborate to create the Youth and Family Support Group that just happened last week, Friday. And so this is an additional resources that some of our families can tap into and utilize here at Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. Some of the frequently asked questions is what is an SED? And it is a serious emotional disturbance, and it is a diagnosable mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder of sufficient duration that affects one's functioning in at least 2 or more settings. And what is a co-occurring disorder? And a COD is an individual living with both a psychiatric diagnosis affecting one's functioning in at least 2 or more settings, along with a substance use disorder. And we have our Project Talika.
Thanks, Jesse. And thank you everybody for being here today. My name is Alyssa Roberto, and I am the project director for Project Talika. We are the Healthy Transitions program of the department. This is our logo, and Jesse, you can go on to the next slide. The logo, actually, just to give a little background, was it's a delta symbol, and the delta symbol actually is a sign for change. So, you know, we want to continue being a change in the community. And with that being said, us being the youth and young adult program at the department, we want to create a seamless transition for our transition age population, whether they'd be having a serious emotional disturbance or a serious mental illness. You know, they can be in high school, they can be just finishing high school, wanting to get a job, wanting to go to college, but while also having a behavioral health challenge. How could they navigate? So that's what we want to be here for. We want to make sure that they don't fall in between the cracks and, you know, become one of the stigmas, because the 16 to 25-year-old population actually has the highest rates for unemployment, high substance use, high statistics of depression. So that's what we're here for. And along with the next slide, we do offer similar services like Project Link and IFA Magunta. We offer wraparound services. So we do orientation, intake assessments. We identify what's the best treatment that will fit their needs, whether it be counseling, family counseling, medication management, crisis stabilization. Additionally, we try to empower them as young adults. So if they tell us that, they want to work as a mechanic, they want to become a teacher, we try to work with what their life goals are and try to find organizations in the community that will help them. So one of our goals were to find local businesses that we can create MOUs with that would be able to provide job training, job skills assistance, trying to show them what is it like to do an interview and how to prepare for an interview. So we've been working with different agencies, and it's really nice to see that some of our youth that worked with these agencies, it felt a little more comfortable for them versus just going out on their own and trying to get a job on their own, and they've never done that before. Additionally, we've been working in the community to try to increase access points to services. So not only do you need to come to Guam Behavioral Health to initiate services, we've been working with public health so that if they feel that this youth or young adult might need services from Guam Behavioral, the nurses are somewhat trained in how to refer them to us. So we've been working with public health, trying to work with some mayor's offices and the local high schools and some private schools on how to increase access to getting behavioral health services. And then the next slide that we have is really just some feedback that we have from consumers. We like to give the qualitative reports from them. How are your interactions? It was nice to talk to someone mostly within my age, someone who's able to relate to me and listen to me. Would you recommend Telaika services, transition age services? Absolutely. I felt that Project Telaika was a good program because they would help me in so many different ways. And, we just want to make sure that if a youth and young adult were to come to our department to seek services, that they felt open and that they didn't feel that they didn't fit in because, maybe nobody their age is inquiring about services. So that's why we really just want to be here for them. So yeah, thank you for your time, and I'll pass it on to the next presenter.
Okay, we have our adult mental health outpatient programs, and which falls under the clinical services division, and it is made up of two services, which includes CSS, which is community support services, and adult counseling services. But with this one, CSS, this program in particular provide services to adult lifespan beginning at the age of 18 for people who may be experiencing a variety of life, emotional, and mental health issues, from adjustment disorders to life stressors, or as well as a serious mental illness. Services are guided by the principle that most individuals with SMI can live successfully in integrated community settings when adequate individualized supports and services are provided. These services may include medication monitoring and counseling. So, part of the case management services, like Dr. Cooper Nurse was mentioning about wraparound services, when it comes to CSS, it really is an individualized treatment plan where we put the individual at the center, and we provide, we create an individualized treatment plan, care coordination and referral linkages between community partners and organizations that may assist the individual flourish in their treatment and in their recovery. They also provide screening, orientation, intake assessments, advocacy on part of the client, supportive counseling and psychoeducation, and medication management. As part of the advocacy part, social workers and case managers advocate on behalf of individuals to increase their access to basic human needs and resources such as housing, food, medical health care, behavioral health care. They also promote empowerment of vulnerable and underserved populations to enhance well-being, which includes human rights, social justice, and social inclusions. In addition to CSS, they also provide community home-based services. And the mission of the CHBS is to empower individuals with the necessary resources and skills to live as self-sufficiently as possible. The eligibility criteria are based on assessment to determine the level of need and who requires assistance in at least one of the following areas: activities of daily living, which includes eating, toileting, grooming, dressing, bathing, transferring, and mobility. Instrumental activities of daily living includes meal planning and preparation, managing finances, shopping for essential items, performing household chores, communication by phone or other media, and community participation. Observation, monitoring, and redirection of challenging behaviors, and assisting with medication adherence. And then we go into our adult counseling services. Miss, I think you may be muted. Okay.
So the adult counseling services. So our unit consists of 10 counselors plus myself. And our mission is to support community integration and recovery from mental health challenges by providing evidence-based, person-centered, and culturally competent counseling services. So with us as the only mental health state agency for the whole island, we are tasked to provide counseling services to anyone despite of their ability to pay. So anyone that comes through our doors, if they're requesting for our services and counseling, we will give them the assessment, but of course, we will also have them explore private providers in the community. So half of our staff are licensed. The other half are working on their licensure. So that, includes getting feedback from their supervisors, but for the ones that are not licensed yet, they are under my supervision through my license. But we strive to provide evidence-based treatments. Always emphasis on that. Variety of treatment modalities such as psychoeducation, and all the other different treatment modalities, and work toward recovery with their treatment and assessment. If they also needed to be referred for medications, we will put them up with our psychiatrists. And if we feel that we need to explore further assessments and in more detail, then we also provide and we refer them to our psychologists. And recently, our psychologists we've been working hand in hand in doing our assessments with them, such as the Achenbach or Achenbach. I'm not sure how they pronounce that. So the Achenbach, we have a list of other assessments that we provide, such as if someone comes in for depression, we do the BDI and the BAI. my gosh, it escapes me right now. So through our psychoeducation and our supportive counseling sessions, active listening is very, very important. Advice giving, that's pretty much in conjunction with, we don't totally try to give advice, right? We recommend things, and then we leave it up to the client to make that decision for themselves. We provide all the guidance and all the psychoeducation that is needed, and then in the end, we'll say, okay, these are all the things that we're guiding you with, and then they're the ones, right? Because it's their treatment. They're the ones that have to make that determination for themselves in the end. Confirmation of appropriateness of patient concerns, that's incorporated with, assessments. And also once we do our assessments and we explain to the client what's our treatment recommendation, then they'll decide for themselves if they want to continue. Focus on coping strategies, problem focused and emotion focused. We gather facts, problem solving techniques, emotion focused, participate in pleasurable activities. Those are just some of the treatment modalities and the guidance that we give them as we start to explain their line of treatment and their road and their map for their treatment that lies ahead. Psychoeducation, learning about and understanding mental health and well-being and how it coordinates with their everyday lives and what they're facing at the moment, because as they're coming in for counseling, they're coming to a fork in the road where they're not sure which road to take. So we give them some tips and we give them some things to consider as they're facing these challenges in their lives. So we do their psychoeducation. Once we put our assessments together, we provide a diagnosis for them. And then as we go down their treatment path, the diagnosis may change. Then if they need medications, that is recommended. And of course, we go to our psychiatrist for that. And then they provide whatever medications may be recommended at the time. Next slide. Counseling services provided. We have group counseling, individual, couples, family counseling, medication management. So we work hand in hand with our psychiatrists. The counselor usually will we usually ask the client, how they're doing with their medications, how's their sleep, how is their day-to-day functioning. And if any of those are in any kind of jeopardy or any kind of blockage, for the moment, then we always ask that we reconsider and we talk to the psychiatrist about, hey doc, this is going on, they're not able to sleep or they're sleeping too much. So then we talk to the doctor about what needs to be done, or we also explore with the client what's been going on. Maybe it's not the medications, maybe it's just too much activities within their lives for that moment. So, medication management. Psychotherapy, we provide CBT, DBT, ACT, CBT. So CBT is cognitive behavior therapy. DBT is dialectical behavior therapy, which is usually provided for people with, okay, I'm getting a blank here. DBT, bipolar and the mood disorders. And then we have ACT, something commitment and therapy. I'm sorry, I'm blanking out right now. Then CPT. Okay, guys. I'll come back to that. Okay. Then we also provide telehealth counseling services. At this time, we although because there's people that are still not able to drive themselves in for whatever reason, they can't come in because they have a phobia, they can't leave their house or whatever. So we provide we're still providing telehealth counseling services. I'm mad that I can't remember what's ACT. Okay, next slide. Oh, I guess I'm done.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mitchell Johnson, and I will be presenting on Project Ogang and the crisis services that we provide, as well as the crisis lifeline. So Project Ogang is a word in Chamorro, which means to call, and Project Ogang aims to establish reliable 24-hour emergency services for individuals who are experiencing a mental health crisis. The project serves children ages 5 and older with serious emotional disturbance and individuals ages 18 and older with serious mental illness, to include those with substance use disorders or co-occurring disorders. Next slide. The crisis services that are provided by GBHWC are, well, we have the 24-hour crisis intake assessment unit, which is comprised of crisis intake workers who are responsible for conducting all intake assessments, consultation with masters, level providers, and on-call physician or psychiatrist for provisional diagnoses, and refer the consumer to the appropriate program within GBHWC or for crisis stabilization. Also, with the crisis services, we have the mobile crisis response team, the 24/7 Lifeline Crisis Center, and the Crisis Stabilization Unit for children and adults. Next slide. The 24/7 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, GBHWC Lifeline Center's sole mission is to help people in crisis. And we do that by offering free, confidential, and anonymous support to those who are in a mental health crisis 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Lifeline is operated by trained Lifeline specialists and volunteers. Crisis intervention is provided to immediately help a person in crisis or dealing with suicide ideations find emotional stability to better receive a mental health referral. This department is responsible for ensuring the well-being of individuals who call into the Lifeline Center. And the 988, the 3-digit number was launched in July 16 of 2022. Right now, anybody can call, chat, or text with 988. We offer those services to everybody. Next slide. Lifeline responsibilities. The Lifeline specialists, they practice active engagement with callers and make effort to establish sufficient rapport so as to promote the caller's collaboration in securing his or their own safety. They use the least invasive intervention and consider involuntary emergency interventions as a last resort. They also practice active engagement with persons calling on behalf of someone or a third-party caller towards determining the least invasive and most collaborative actions to best ensure the safety of the person who is at risk. That is the Lifeline. That is the 24/7 988 Lifeline. Now we'll be talking about the Mobile Crisis Response Team. Next slide. The Mobile Crisis Response Team, or MCRT, is a pilot program, and it's a collaboration between GBHWC, GPD, and GFD, and it allows for a team of behavioral health specialists to co-respond with our first responders for individuals experiencing behavioral health crises related to issues regarding mental health, suicidality, depression, homelessness, substance abuse, etc. It aims to provide the least restrictive and most effective alternative response for individuals in crisis by providing compassionate crisis intervention and support. When activated, MCRT responds with a team of at least 2 people consisting of a crisis specialist, a certified peer support specialist, and or a crisis intervention aide. They are all trained to provide on-site assessments, crisis management, referrals to ongoing care, linkages to community resources, as well as increased outreach and engagement services to clients, families, law enforcement officers, and the community at large. How to access or for MCRT to respond, the access points are, of course, 911, the dispatch, 988 Lifeline, and if the individual experiencing a crisis is an existing client at Guam Behavioral Health, lead provider, the assigned lead provider can also activate mobile crisis response team. Next slide. The goals and services. The overall goals of this response model includes to provide crisis services in the community and interacting with individuals in their natural environment. So, for example, if the person is experiencing crises at their homes, we go to the person's homes. At work, we go to their workplace, or even at school. Another goal is to provide crisis services to individuals who may be hard to reach and might not otherwise receive services, such as individuals who are unable to access treatment services at our main facility. We also want to reduce unnecessary hospitalizations and emergency department referrals by resolving situations in the community whenever possible. We also want to provide appropriate care while avoiding unnecessary enforcement involvement and or incarcerations. To accomplish these goals, MCRT offers triage and screening, assessment, de-escalation resolution, peer support, coordinating with medical and behavioral health services, crisis planning, and follow-up care. The follow-up care is that we provide after we try to de-escalate the situation and everything's been resolved. We offer them we try to give them a call every 72 hours or within 72 hours for as long as up to 2 weeks. Just to check on how they're doing since the response. Next slide. There are 4 levels of activation for a mobile crisis response team. The most common one being, and we're gonna start from the bottom, level 3, where mobile crisis response team is activated alone. And this is in the case, and first responders will be on standby. This is in the case where a caller reports any of the following: where moderate risk for suicide attempt, no indication of illness or injury, a crime has not been committed, and also we just if they wanted us to do a wellness check for active if they wanted us to do to conduct a wellness check, we're able to do that. Level 2, both the MCRT and the first responders will be activated. However, mobile crisis response team will take the lead with first responders in the background. They will be on scene just in case immediate assistance is needed. And level 2 is activated if caller reports any of the following: high risk for suicide attempt, moderate risk for or high risk for suicide attempt with intent, means, and plan, moderate risk for suicide attempt with history or recent acts of aggression, suicidal gesture or threat to self, homicidal ideation, active psychosis, or unable to care for self, or the person is gravely disabled. Level 1 is like level 2, both mobile crisis response team and first responders are there hand in hand. However, first responders take the lead. This level indicates that situations are too dangerous to deploy, with the environment first being secured by law enforcement. So Lifeline Center initiates rescue protocol and does not dispatch MCRT as sole responder if the caller is in imminent danger to self and or others, as apparent by suicide attempt, serious self-harm in progress, or there is an active threat of violence, or the person is in possession of a weapon. Level 0, first responders will be activated alone, with MCRT not initially activated but to remain on standby. And this is when 911 should be called because the person has already there is a medical emergency that needs to be addressed first, or the person has overdosed. Those are the different levels of activation. Next slide. the crisis services that we offer. Intake is 24/7. However, with the mobile crisis response team, we do have hours of operation. It is daily, so 7 days a week. But the mobile crisis response team is only available from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. And to contact or to activate MCRT, one must call 988. And that is it for Project All Gang and 988 Lifeline.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Shirley Onslan. I'm currently the acting program manager for Healing Hearts Crisis Center. Healing Hearts is the only rape crisis center on the island. We provide services for victims and survivors of sexual assault or abuse, and there is no limit on the time frame of when the incident had happened. We will provide the services for the client. Next slide. So we have 4 components of Healing Hearts: the administrative side, the medical, the social work, forensic interviews, and the community outreach and public awareness. As far as the administrative side, it's just to oversee and monitor the program staff, developing and updating program policies and procedures, collecting data and publishing the data, and writing reports. We are highly involved with the Guam Coalition Against Sexual Assault and Family Violence, and we provide leadership for the Guam Sexual Assault Response Team Steering Committee. As far as our medical component, we do have 2 medical doctors that have been specially trained to perform examinations on children, as well as adults who may have experienced sexual assault. The roles of the examiner is to remain neutral and objective, but to also be caring to the patient with sensitivity. These examiners fully understand the important role they play in not only the criminal justice aspect to the sexual assault case, but in the healing and the emotional well-being of the person. Our office is equipped to perform the examinations in a private, calm environment away from the crisis settings of the hospital emergency room. And with the exam, we may include treatment for sexually transmitted infections, access to emergency contraceptions, and collection of forensic evidence for the rape kit provided by the Guam Police Department. As far as our social work aspects, we do provide crisis interventions, intake assessment, and short-term case management to coordinate services and referrals for counseling, legal assistance, and other services that may be needed. It's been shown to be best practice for victims to undergo the fewest number of interviews as possible and to limit the trauma of reliving the assault. So we work in partnership with different agencies, such as the Guam Police Department, the Attorney General's Office, Child Protective Services, and Adult Protective Services, including military branches, to provide a neutral location to interview these clients, to avoid repetitive questions with different agencies. The community outreach and public awareness, we do have our social worker go out to the schools to educate and raise public awareness on the best ways to help women, children, and men who have survived sexual assault, as well as to prevent sexual assault. Healing Hearts is involved with outreach programs for the elementary, middle, and high schools and the community at large to talk about appropriate touching, when and how to say no, and personal safety. Next slide. So quick facts about Healing Hearts. We can be activated 24/7, 7 days a week. After hours are for our acute cases. That specifically means the sexual assault or abuse that happened anytime between a 24 to 72-hour time period. The after hours main phone line is forwarded to our crisis lifeline at 988. There's no age limit for services, except survivors with or without insurance at no charge. We do not conduct examinations on perpetrators, and we follow the strict federal guidelines on confidentiality. Next slide. So this is our referral flow chart. It goes with our reporting parties can be from GPD, CPS, self-referred, schools, VAROs, GMH hospitals, and private clinics. And you can see the acute is within 72 hours. We'll contact the physician on call, and they'll come in to do the exams. For non-acute, those are events that had happened after the 72-hour period or beyond. There will be no medical exam provided at that point in time, and then we will refer to services after intake assessment. Next slide. So our location is at 215 Duenas Drive. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, closed on weekends and holidays. And our contact number is 647-5351 or 988, the crisis line. Thank you.
Hafide and good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. If I could just get a thumbs up. You guys can hear me? Awesome. Alrighty, my name is Athena Duenas. I'm the supervisor for the Drug and Alcohol Program, which is otherwise known as New Beginnings. Next slide. So we go by the evidence-based model, ASAM. We use the ASAM, American Society of Addiction Medicine, assessment tool to place individuals in the appropriate level of care. So currently the list that you see right now is the levels of care that are provided on Guam. All the levels of care that are 3.0 and up are all 24-hour residential or inpatient services, and 2 and below are all outpatient services. So we provide education, we provide outpatient services, residential treatment services, withdrawal management services, and aftercare, all based on the ASAM. Next slide. So the other services that we provide, of course, is the ASAM, which are assessment and referral. So we refer to our contracted companies in the community. So we contract with the Lighthouse Recovery Center, who provides residential treatment services for men. They also provide outpatient for men and women. And then Sanctuary, who provides residential treatment services for adolescents, ages 11 to 17, both for outpatient and residential treatment services. So we'll do our assessment and then make the referral, and then they can opt for services outside of the department, or they can opt for our services in the department. I know we're not quite contracted with WestCare, but they also provide substance use treatment in the community as well. We basically provide brief intervention, which is a really short-term education model. It's maybe about 2 to 3 sessions long. Each session is about an hour. We do provide drug testing with that as well. Our education and discovery group, basically for individuals first-time offense or individuals who don't believe they have a problem with substances. They go through our level 0.5 education program, and we do a lot of education on addiction and the different substances and how it affects the body. That's about a good 8 to 10 sessions long. We have our withdrawal management services, which is provided at 3.7. It's at our main facility. That's a 24-hour inpatient service. And then we also provide intensive case management. So this is for individuals who come in who have multifaceted issues. One could be co-occurring disorder that we need to assist with medication management and maybe even assist with intensive individual sessions. We also do a lot of intensive case management around everything that a person needs, basic life skills, food, water, shelter. That's the basic life skills. But a lot of our intensive case management comes in when we have individuals who either don't have a home, or individuals who are just kind of jumping from couch surfing, living in their cars. So we assist them with trying to get housing, trying to get a job. We assist them with trying to get SNAP benefits. So that's basically the biggest part of our intensive case management services. Our family education program, anybody who's involved in our intensive outpatient or residential treatment services, we invite their families to come learn about addiction. And then we also provide drug testing, alcohol testing, both through urine and through saliva, and then alcohol testing through the breath. We use a breathalyzer. We have a robust peer support service program that also does warm handoffs for us when we need it. We provide prevention and outreach services alongside our prevention and outreach section in the community. We contract with other agencies and we provide evaluations, and then we are currently providing the residential treatment center for women. Next slide. So we have evidence-based models that we use. Of course, these are required by most of our grants, but these are also evidence-based models that we've chosen that seem to fit our population best, and we make adaptations where we need to. First, we have the matrix model for intensive outpatient treatment. We use moral recognition therapy. Helping men and women recover is a substance use trauma informed treatment group service. It is amazing. We have dialectical behavior therapy for substance users, which is called DBTS. We provide driving with care, which is for our DUI, DWI participants, individuals who get in trouble for drinking and driving or using and driving. Then we have our dual diagnosed recovery counseling service for individuals with co-occurring disorder, strengthening families, which is another family program to help strengthen and reunite our parents with their children, especially those that are CPS involved. And we're getting a huge population of that. So strengthening families really helps. We have individual therapy. We have a few licensed providers in our program. And then we, of course, have our peer support service. And we also provide economic empowerment and then wellness recovery action planning. That's the gist of what we provide. It's quite a bit. We try to help our individuals as much as possible, especially those that are in need of housing. Next slide.
Thank you, Athena. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shermalyn Pineda. I manage the Residential Recovery Program, which is the transitional housing for adults with serious and persistent mental illness. So who are also striving for independence, and skills development is the primary focus of the program to help individuals function to their fullest capacity. So the program has varying levels of care depending on their level of need and the degree of assistance they require daily. Next slide, please. So this is one of our homes, which is the level 1 home. This is for adults with severe mental illness and severe behavior problems. The clients that we have here require regular assistance with their activities of daily living, and this is the most restrictive level of care. Next slide, please. This is Guma Azucena. The clients here are elderly with serious mental illness and medical concerns. Next slide, please. And this is Guma Serenidad. In this facility, we have adults with serious mental illness and individuals who meet HUD's eligibility criteria under the Permanent Supportive Housing Program. we provide less restrictive level of care in this facility. So there are 7 beds allocated for individuals who have serious mental illness who require the residential program and also are homeless. Currently, all beds are occupied. Next slide, please.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So yeah, some of the frequently asked questions is how do we access these services, right? And you can come visit us over at the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness building here in Tamuning. We are located at 790 Governor Carlos D. Camacho Road, Tamuning, or we are right in front of the GMH building, the green building, right before you reach the hospital. And if you have any questions, you can give us a call at 647-5440. And if you are in need, you can also access the crisis hotline at 988, and you can also text and chat with that option. And if you need to access any of our services, you can just come visit us and we will do an intake assessment. And then depending on the level of care or the need, you will be referred to any or one of our programs here, and a staff member from one of our programs will reach out to you to begin our services. And so that's just a fraction of some of the programs we have here at Guam Behavioral. Again, we do have many more, so we may need to do a part 2 to this series, and I can have that coordinated. But if you have any questions, just feel free to give us a call or visit our website, and our site is www.gbwic.guam.gov. Miss Jackie, any questions from any of the participants?
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, everybody, the Guam Behavioral Health team. That was such a great presentation, and there are so many essential services that you guys provide. And as you said, there are many more. So thank you guys again for that presentation. Right now, if our viewers or attendees have any questions, you can put it in the Q&A part or in the live. Right now, I don't see any for the time being. I was going to ask a question about the referral, but you answered that in the end. So thank you. As we're looking here, I don't see anything just yet popping up. And did you guys have any announcements you wanted to share as we're waiting? Anything coming up for Guam Behavioral? Thank you.
Not that I'm aware of, but happy Halloween to everyone.
Thank you. I think I saw somebody who had something on as well. I have this on. It's supposed to be something else, but do it later off camera. Thank you again, Jesse. I don't see any comments or questions at the moment.
Okay.
So thank you guys so much for your presentation, everybody, for taking the time to join us on the webinar today to share about your services and how we can access that. For everyone that's viewing, thank you so much for watching and logging on. Our next session, actually this Thursday, we don't have anybody scheduled to present. So it is still open if anybody wants to take that slot, November 2nd. Otherwise, our next session is scheduled for a week from today, November 7th at 10 o'clock again. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys. Yes, you guys as well. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see everybody.
Take care.
Take care.